Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm your host, Go Green. Welcome to Go Gadget Green. We're here to talk Knicks tonight. The Porzingis trade. Shout out to my live stream audience. I have my Facebook live group here, The Green of Thrones. To all my podcast listeners, my YouTube channel watchers and listeners, you can check out The Green of Thrones on Facebook. Request a membership. I will add you on, and we have fun in the group. So I always live stream these things with the groups. I have a couple people that sit through this with me. And to my live streamers, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel. Go Gadget Green. That's Go Gadget is one word, green. And you'll see these videos and everything else I post about all the other things that your host, Go Green, likes to do. So we going to get right to it. No need to play any games. We not shucking. We not jiving. We going to get right to it. You heard? Kristaps Porzingis is no longer a New York Knick. I mean, like my daughter, right? I show her with pictures, and y'all see some pictures of her sometime in her Knick hat, and I take her to games with me, but she's not into sports like that. I said, Sada, guess who the Knicks traded? She's like, the tall guy. So even she knew who he was, right? The tall guy. Oh, man. KP is no longer in New York. So I'm going to tell y'all, before we even get to it, I want to tell you how this happened to me today real briefly, because I know all of y'all care and just are so concerned with how my day went. So I'm going to share it. So I'm at work. I go to my office. I log into my computer, and I have a habit of I check the sports, especially weeks like this where the NBA trade deadline's coming up. So I'll log in, and I'll go to like a page that might have some new information really quick. I got two screens. So on the other screen, I got my work stuff, and on the other screen, I got some sports stuff. And so I see Kristaps, this report in the Post about Porzingis going to the Knicks management or whatever. And this came out of nowhere, right? I'm a person that I read a lot of sports stuff. Like I look for it. I wake up reading it. I go to sleep reading it. And I'm like, when did this happen? Okay, cool. He talks to management. He's unhappy. Then I get an email from one of the VPs at the office, and it just says Dallas with question marks. This is weird because this person, I'm cool with them. You know what I'm saying? And we talk our sports, but this email, I didn't know what it meant. So I just was like, let me just go run up there real quick. So I go over to the office, and I'm like, what's going on? He's like, Porzingis to Dallas? So I immediately want to see his computer. Like, where did you hear this? What are you talking about? Like, and he shows me his computer screen, and I'm thinking he's on like some rumor mill site or something like that. And he's on NBA.com. So I'm like, oh, this is really happening. Then I see Tim Hardaway is gone. I see Courtney Lee is gone. I see everybody is gone. And so immediately my phone, I'm at a loss for words. I didn't see this coming. It came from nowhere. So excuse me. I'm at a loss for words a bit. My phone starts blowing up. I mean, my phone is blowing up, call after call after call after call. My phone is blowing up. Y'all make me feel very appreciated because y'all made me feel important. My phone was blowing up a lot. And people wanted to talk. They wanted to know what I thought about it. They wanted to tell me what they thought about it because I'm always interested in what people think about sports things, even when I don't agree, when I think it's funny, when I think it's dumb. I always am interested in that. I'm having a camera issue over here, and I don't know why. My camera's doing some funny stuff, which is going to mess up my video. But I'm just going to go ahead and I'm just going to keep going. Hopefully it'll clear up. Anyway, so Thorough, is Thorough here? Is Thorough here? I don't know if Thorough's here. But my man Thorough, I got to give Thorough, oh yeah, Thorough's here. Peace, Thorough. I got to give Thorough a shout out because Thorough's a Mavericks fan. He was with us last night. I don't even do back-to-back shows too often. But Thorough was with us last night. Thorough, I got to give him his props because he basically predicted that Porzingis would get an attitude for being, or his camp would get an attitude for being mentioned in anything trade related with the Knicks. And he asked me how I felt about that. And my position was KP hasn't done much to feel a way about being included in a trade for Anthony Davis. And as a brother said last night on the show, Jason Tatum said he traded himself for for AD. So, for Anthony Davis. So, for Porzingis to feel a way about it, I'm like, that's part of the business. If you're a really good player, there's a chance your name will be included in a trade. It's possible. Like, we've seen great players throughout history get traded. It happens. And so thorough, good job. He got that off. So yeah, what do we think about this deal? Let me go through some of these. Let me not ignore my live stream people here. Let me see what's happening. Chris, what's good? Yeah, it happened really quick. Jay said Trey Burke is gone too. Trey Burke is in the deal. First things first, let me just get this out here. The question I've been asked, do you agree with this trade? Do you like this trade? Are you upset? I was asked how many Knicks fans are upset right now. I said about probably 70% of them. I think it's more like 80. Me personally, I'm not upset at this trade. Anybody that knows me feels I felt a way about KP getting a max contract coming off an injury, and I've never felt that he was going to be the number one guy. I felt he would be a great complement to the number one guy, and I've always felt he would be the guy to facilitate a move. I always felt he would be a guy to facilitate something for us, whether it be being part of a trade or it be luring talent to want to come play with him in New York. Whichever it was going to be, I felt KP would play a role in that. I never felt he would be the guy. There's only been one player from Europe that's come over and been dominant to that Hall of Fame level, and that's Dirk Nowitzki. Now, there may be some others in the future, but that's how I always felt about KP. And KP is a beast. I like him. I'm not saying I wanted to trade him. I'm not saying I dislike him. I'm not saying anything like that. I'm saying, if you know me, that's been my position with KP for a while now. So him being a part of a deal that frees up enough contract salary cap space to where the Knicks could sign 2 max free agents. They've cleared all this cap space. They acquired guys that have expiring contracts. They got 2 first-round picks, 1 protected, 1 unprotected. That's my understanding. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'll get back to the comments in a minute. And Dennis Smith Jr., I've seen people say this trade is not worth it. If the Knicks don't, if these picks aren't lottery picks, it's not worth it. Or the Knicks traded KP for nothing. I don't know about y'all, but I never felt Dennis Smith was a scrub. I hate that we've traded KP for somebody we should have had on the team anyway, but I like the idea moving forward. We'll talk about the free agent potential in the summer, but for right now, talking about the team, I like Dennis Smith Jr. I think Fizdale is a better coach for him than Rick Carlisle. Not knocking Carlisle, but I think Dennis Smith needs to be turned loose a bit. And I think the Knicks are going to give him the opportunity to do that. I think Dave Fizdale is going to just let him go and play and blossom and become the best player he can become. And that just bodes well for the Knicks, because either you have your point guard or you have another young asset. Let's get to some of these comments. Thairu says he loves the trade. Jamal says 2 max free agents. We able to sign 2. Yes, we are. Mr. Live, shout out to Mr. Live. Yo, Mr. Live be in the groups. Like, I be in a lot of these groups, and Mr. Live be in the groups. You know what I'm saying? He be fighting them off. They be trying to come for you, Mr. Live, but you be like, You know what I'm saying? So I gotta give Mr. Live a shout out. But he says he loves the trade. My man Collis, shout out to Collis. Collis is always with us. He's a regular. He says, I like the deal. The dude don't want to be here, referring to Porzingis. The dude doesn't want to be here. We cleared the cap space, still have a chance to get a quality pick. To me, I'm not pulling the trigger if I can't get a max player this summer. Okay, so yeah. I definitely agree on the fact that the dude don't want to be here. So let's talk about that a bit. So word has come out that Porzingis, I'm going to be so mad if this video doesn't record the way it needs to, because it's flashing something that I really don't want to stop it right now. So just pray for me. Black gods only. Now let me stop. I'm just playing. So back to the point. So a report came out that Porzingis doesn't want to be here. You've heard rumors that they said he doesn't want to be the man. He's afraid of the criticism that'll come with that. I don't know how true that is. I don't know. I'll take that with a grain of salt. But I think there's something to him going to the front office and kind of saying, I'm not certain. I think he probably did more than leave them with an impression that he didn't want to be here. So, if you think this franchise definitely has had a losing culture long before Porzingis. So let's just get that out there, right? Porzingis has nothing to do with he's not even old enough to be a part of the losing culture that a lot of us have experienced. With that said, from the time that KP has been a good young player for the Knicks, he's been injured often. That's been one of my criticisms of a very young, special talent. He's been injured often. And in that injury, in that process, you're not playing games. When you're not playing games, or he's either run out of energy, because it wasn't always he was hurt. He always would run out of stamina. So either or, you're not your best player. You're not the best player you can be, but you're the best player on the team. So part of that losing falls on you. We can talk Phil Jackson. We can talk Melo, but I'm just going to focus on Porzingis. Now, if we look at this season alone, the Knicks have 10 wins. Porzingis is their all-star. I don't know how many Knick games y'all watch, but I watch Knick games pretty regular. When I miss them, I DVR them, and then I watch them again. And then I talk about them with my boys, even when we're not doing this stuff. And Porzingis being there, the Knicks could have a better record. Not that much better, but there were enough games where if an all-star was involved, I could see a different outcome on the game. So for him to feel a way about the franchise, but he's the best player and he has been unavailable because of injury, I think that's a little bit unfair to... Hold on a second. I think that's a little unfair to the Knicks to just put that on them completely. I think he hasn't done enough to be requesting a trade. We don't even know if you're healthy. You basically are saying you don't think that the young players we have here are really going to do anything for us. It speaks of that. It also speaks of a little bit of panicking by the agent because you don't want to get shipped to the Pelicans. So they immediately put out there that he wouldn't re-sign with the Pelicans. I'm not feeling that. Personally, I'm not feeling that. And I'm speaking as a Knicks fan. I get to do that. It's my show. I'm a Knicks fan. I'm not feeling that he wants to be traded because he's not sure about where it's going and all this and that. Not feeling that at all. As far as the cap space, I agree with Collis. If we can't get max free agent talent, I'm not spending max free agent money. This is very different from the year when we got Amari Stoudemire, when you kind of had to do something. This is very different from that year. If the Knicks strike out this summer, I know people are like, oh, but they can't strike out because then they got rid of Porzingis for nothing. No, because just because you have the money, and I think this is the point Collis is making, just because you have the money, you don't have to spend the money. So if you strike out, you invite free agents, they don't want to sign with you, then you know what? You take your young core, you fill in the pieces in your roster, and you take your max free agent money into next summer, and you have to prove it. You have to start to prove it. That puts way more pressure on the coach to perform, to overachieve with lesser talent, for sure. That's for certain. But I think it's still a good thing. Jay says he doesn't like trading away franchise players, but this works out if quality free agents take the bait. So Jay is saying he doesn't like the idea of trading Porzingis, but if it brings us to 2 max, but right, don't you have to, here's my question. Here's my question to y'all. Y'all give me some responses on this. Don't you have to be a player in the game? Right? Don't you want to at least be able to say, we got max money too. Lakers ain't the only ones with money. Boston ain't the only team you need to wheel and deal with. Matter of fact, you could come here outright. We don't even have to gut our talent. We don't have to clear our cabinet. We got some new pieces here. Let you come play with these young boys and take it to the next level. You know, we can do that with 2 guys. So, you know, excuse me, I'm going to cut my ringer off in a minute. So, you know, the idea of where this is similar to the year of Amari Stoudemire, as I brought up a few moments ago, I said it wasn't the same. Where it is similar to that year is that year the Knicks traded Jamal Crawford and Zach Randolph, and the Knicks had started that season pretty decent. I don't remember the record off the top of my head, but they started the season in their first 10 or so games pretty decent. And then they traded Zach Randolph, they traded Jamal Crawford to get far enough under the salary cap so that they could talk to Dwayne Wade, so that they could talk to LeBron James, so they could talk to the major free agents that summer. Now, of course, we didn't get any of them, but the point is you had to make that move in order to even say, I can afford you. Come look at what we have. So this trade of KP and Tim Hardaway's contract and Courtney Lee's contract, those are obviously the most important pieces in the deal. It allowed you to be a player at the game. You can now step up to the table. You know what I'm saying? No fraud Willies gambling they re-up. You know, the Knicks ain't gambling their re-up right now. They legit. They got the bread. They valid. So I think that the trade is valid in that sense. Now, if you strike out this summer, is it a bad trade? I don't know. But what you think about being a player in the game? Thyru says Hardaway was the best player on the team and a role player on another team. Get his money out of here. I agree. Getting the Tim Hardaway deal out of here. Oh, yeah, look. I got my Darth Vader. Y'all see my Darth Vader hoodie? Yeah. I was supposed to do that in the beginning. There was a disturbance in the force today. So, yeah, I had to get, I'm sorry. I was preoccupied with that. I missed it in the beginning, but my hoodie's dope. So, yeah, Thyru. Hardaway, thank you, but your contract's out of here. I'm not mad at that. Dallas took back 2 contracts that go into 2020. Well, yeah, they go into 2020. Jay says 2 first-rounders in the deal will be helpful in future deals or building a bench. Thank you. Those 2 first-round picks, I was reading some posts earlier, and there's some people that are like, if those picks aren't lottery picks, they're not worth it. And I don't agree with that because these picks are either part of a larger deal later or, like he said, building the bench. That's important. Look at where Trier, think about it, y'all. Trier wasn't drafted. Mitchell Robinson was a 2nd-round pick. You know, I'm not saying it like these guys are some special, like, world destroyers, but they're young players that we enjoy watching. And they weren't even first-rounders. So having 2 picks in the first round is only a better opportunity to get more talent or to be part of a bigger trade, like Jay says. Thorough says, oh, what just happened? Okay, here we go. We back. Thorough says, word is the deal was already being discussed before KP came to complain, and that's why it happened so fast. Yes. So a lot of people have been saying it did happen really quickly. I was even saying it happened really quickly. As Thorough pointed out, Dallas and the Knicks had already been in conversation. They were talking last night while the game was going on. And I would even say that the pressure KP's agent, his brother, was feeling came more from, excuse me, y'all. Excuse me on the technical difficulty. I don't know what's wrong with my camera. I really don't want to stop and keep going because I have a live stream going. But if hopefully it's not messing up the sound. So if the video's a little choppy, excuse that. Hopefully the sound isn't. If the sound is choppy, I guess I won't even post it. But so I think Porzingis' agent, his brother, reacted more to the Anthony Davis trade situation than any rumors about the Knicks and Dallas. You know, and you know, shout out to the Knicks and Dallas front office. You know, not much conversation was in the media and the rumor mill about them talking, especially not on the Porzingis level. So that was kept really quiet. So yeah. Thyru says, I need some water. Oh, I got some water here. I think there are positives, there are more positives than negatives to this trade. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I think the biggest negative in the trade for the Knicks is if Porzingis turns out to be what pretty much every Knicks fan thinks he is, and most people in the NBA thinks he is. If he turns out to be that in Dallas and leads them to, you know, a special place, I'm not even going to go there with championships and all that. I'm not going to even do that. You know, I think that's the only time it's a negative trade for the Knicks. And in the more present time, I think it's a negative trade for Dallas if Porzingis continues to be injury prone. What we got here, Thyru says, we got money and more pieces to lower max type players. Absolutely. Kyle Smith better not get busy and win games. We tanking all the way. I'm glad you brought Dennis Smith up because we're talking all about Porzingis and the major free agents. And we talk a little about Dennis Smith. I've been wanting the Knicks to have some potential at the point guard for a long time. And as my man Akatunde, big shout out to my Akatunde, my brother, my Safo brother, excuse me. Akatunde says, you know, I don't really think Porzingis is going to be that much better of a player than Dennis Smith Jr. And that's kind of where I'm at with it. Not so much that it's a knock to KP, but more so if Dennis Smith Jr. is in a situation where he's allowed to flourish, and that's not a knock on Carlisle. I'm just saying every player don't fit every situation. Every coach doesn't fit every situation. And I believe Dennis Smith Jr. is in a better situation to do what he likes to do if the Knicks choose to keep him. I think you're talking about athleticism. You're talking about a guy that can break down the defense. If his team can make shots, he can find them and he can be a big assist guy, though he hasn't shown much of it in his stats. He had a triple-double in the Garden last night. Real light, too. Real light. You know, I'm sorry. I don't know if it's a New York thing, but in the NBA today, you need a point guard. I feel like you need a point guard unless you got one of these special small forward type dudes that can help bring the ball up. You know, you need that guy. You need a backcourt guy that's special. You know what I'm saying? Unless you got LeBron or Giannis. Let's see what we got here. Yo, Rod, what's good? Johnny says, you don't trade KP, your first franchise player since PE and Melo. Well, like I said earlier, I never felt like KP was a franchise player. I felt like he had franchise potential. But when there were rumors that Cleveland would have taken KP in a deal for Kyrie Irving, Johnny, you know this. We talked about this. I said do it. You know, I remember you said, no, you don't trade a small for a big. You were against that back then, so I know you're against this now. But I said do it. Now, maybe it was just a rumor, and maybe it was never a real trade. My point of bringing it up is that I always felt KP would be a guy to kind of lead the way, but not lead the way you think. Not necessarily on the basketball court, but what his value would be and what he could get in return. And in addition to salary cap space to sign not one, but two max free agents, 2 first-round draft picks, and a talent like Dennis Smith Jr., his potential, you know, he could be special. He could be special. And the more special he becomes, he's either going to be trade bait for a bigger, better player, or he's going to be our point guard of the future and we got his rights and he's ours, so it's on the cheap. I don't see how, KP brought us a lot. We got a lot out of that. We got a lot. And we don't even know if KP's healthy, And let's talk about this. If there's truth to him being unable to handle the pressure of being, now to Johnny's point, he said he's your first franchise player since PE and Melo. You don't trade him. But if his camp feels they don't want to deal with the pressure of what comes with being a franchise player on the New York Knicks, that makes me scared of him. Now, maybe the KP, the player, doesn't feel that way, but if his camp, which is his brother, right? Not just an agent he met after college or was watching him since high school or junior high school creeping around his family. Not that. His brother, somebody who helped raise him, is his agent. So if his camp feels like we don't want to deal with the pressure that might come with losing because KP is going to be the best player on the team, then yeah, you do trade him. Especially if he came to you and said, I don't really know if I want to be a part of this. So yeah, you trade him now. And the reason and you got a lot for it, right? You got a lot for it. You didn't give it up for nothing. You can sign 2 max players. You got 2 first-round picks, and you got Dennis Smith Jr. I think that's a mighty nice haul for a guy that we don't know if he's coming back healthy from injury. We don't know. I'm not saying he won't. But if you're a Knicks fan and you've watched him, he's never played a full season in his 4 NBA seasons. Every year, he was injured a little bit more. And when he did play later into the seasons, he was very lethargic and he didn't have the energy. Maybe he'll outgrow all of that and it won't be an issue. But as of right now, that's who he is. And he's an all-star. I think it's a good trade for both teams. Kyla says, people mad about KP, but we only hype about potential. The only way this doesn't work is if the Knicks pick a bad draft pick and pay someone like Raymond Felton the max. Okay, yes, that was a joke. Haha, good one. Yes, if the Knicks blow that money, that max money, that's the only way this is horrible. Now to the draft pick situation, if you have the number 1 pick, I think it's fair to say Zion will go number 1. Not because Zion is not necessarily the best player in the draft as far as skill for skill talent. Maybe RJ Barrett, excuse me. Maybe RJ Barrett is that player, but Zion is the most special player coming out of college for sure. And there hasn't been this much hype on a college player in a while to this level. If LeBron would have went to college, it probably would have been like that. But it's Zion's overall game. Dunking is what they show you, but he's got limitations in his game, and I'm only talking about the number 1 pick for whoever gets it. I'm not saying that the Knicks have to get Zion. I'm saying that if whoever has the number 1 pick is likely going to draft Zion because of the very special potential. There are more versatile players than him right now, but there is nobody as special as him. There's nobody that even appears to look like him. There's never been from the physical side of it, there's never been a middle linebacker that was a basketball star. So, yeah. And to the point about KP's potential, yeah, we do get hype about potential. And let's be fair. KP made it real easy to be hype about that potential. We weren't hype, the KP potential, the hype about KP, it was legit. That's why when I talk about KP, it's only about health and endurance. Things that could change. It's never about talent. Of course, he's probably the only 7'3" dude with a jump shot that Marcus Smart could actually defend, but that all comes with learning the nuances of the game, and maybe in the next season, Marcus Smart couldn't do that, right? So, KP's talent, I had no issue with. His potential, I had no issue with. When I speak about KP, it's just with the injury concerns and Maybe I'm a little nervous because of the Knicks' injury history with failed big men projects, but the Knicks just don't have a good history with big men with injuries that's supposed to lead the way. They just don't have a good history with it, and I don't trust it, and I'd rather get them while I can get something for them. Jay says, Cantor and Jordan may get moved to a contender before the trade deadline, giving us more youth and picks. Great point. So obviously everyone is aware of Enes Kanter wanting out. DeAndre Jordan and Wesley Matthews are the players that came back in the trade. And because we know the Knicks don't want to, if you put Dennis Smith Jr. and DeAndre Jordan and Wesley Matthews on the court, the Knicks are going to win a couple more games. Even if it's only 2, they'll win a couple more games. And winning a couple more games is not what we want to happen at this point. So I think it's very likely you will see the Knicks trying to aggressively trade Kanter, Matthews, and DeAndre Jordan. And I was reading that on the rumor mill, because we'll call it that, because I'm not anybody's inside information to nothing. So on the rumor mill, they were saying that if the Knicks cannot trade DeAndre Jordan or Matthews, they would be strong buyout candidates. So one way or the other, these guys will not be on the Knicks. I feel strongly about that, whether it's via trade or buyout. But to Jay's point, it would be awesome to get more draft picks, assets. This is what you do. You know, if KP was he was the beginning because he allowed us to have a true beginning, I'm all for that. You know, good luck to him in Dallas. And if he ends up being special and great, he's got to deal with Golden State. He's got to deal with Denver. He's got to deal with Houston. He's got to deal with OKC. Shout out to my cousin, HBK Fargo, OKC fan. OKC is balling. Paul George looks great. Lakers look kind of silly for not getting Paul George out there, but that's another conversation for another day. But yeah, KP has a lot more to deal with in front of him now than the Knicks when he has to play them twice a year. So, you know, we only got to see him at the Garden once a year. So if he becomes legendary and great, it's on the West Coast. Dairu, KP may be a franchise player, but he didn't want to be a franchise player here, though. Better get rid of him and get something in return. I agree with that. If a guy doesn't want to be a franchise player there and you can get something, this is the key. The haul that the Knicks got back. It's hard for me to view that haul as nothing. I've heard people say that the Knicks got nothing for KP. And I think they got a lot. And Dennis Smith on top of a lot. The a lot ain't even the player. The a lot is the business. And then they got a player that's a special talent that we should have had in the first place. Akatunde. Yo, I gotta get my brother Akatunde on here, man. Word up. Because Akatunde is another. I got a lot of my people, to my podcast people, a lot of my people on my live stream are very knowledgeable basketball people, and they keep me sharp. You know, they keep you on your toes. You can't just talk crazy around these brothers. So he's making the point that Akatunde says Dennis Smith Jr. can defend also. So in addition to his handle, in addition to the athleticism, in addition to just the overall really good point guard abilities, he also is a defender. So we talking about potentially a two-way player here, a potential two-way player with potential all-star talent. Why, you know, KP's talent is special because of his height, what he can do at his height. But just because guys Dennis Smith size come a dime a dozen, that don't mean Dennis Smith is not special. Johnny is a big Laker fan. Shout out to my big brother Johnny Jesse. You know what I'm saying? My man's a longtime Laker fan. I'm not Laker bashing, man. I'm not Laker bashing. We're going to talk a little bit about the Lakers too. Definitely not trying to bash the Lakers. We don't want to do that. The Knicks fans is not in a position to bash anybody's team. Okay, we got a good question here. Jay says, which two free agents do we realistically think we will end up with here with the baby Bakers? All right, random poll. We supporting the baby Bakers name? Jay could patent that. We giving Jay the credit for that. What y'all let me know. We supporting the baby Bakkers. What two free agents do we realistically think we'll end up with here? So let's talk about the elephant in the room. Everybody's saying Kyrie and KD. They say Kyrie and KD want to play ball together. They say both of them are extremely interested in New York. Excuse me. If Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant are interested in New York, it's not because of the talent. It's about the culture in New York City, something they respect about basketball. I'm not saying this like I know. I'm saying this is what I think it has to be, because I don't think it's because they want to go team up with Mitchell Robinson and Luke Cornett. I don't think that's why guys like that will want to come to New York. So if there's a realistic opportunity for two max guys to team up in a city that they've always wanted to play in, and then they also have the potential to play with the number one pick in the draft, we're going to have a bunch of draft picks, young players, young talent, probably going to flip another deal or two. You know, why not? I feel more strongly about Kyrie and KD than I ever did. I don't think it's a lock by any chance. I don't think it's something that Knicks fans should be getting really excited about. I think Kyrie is in a unique situation in Boston in itself. But if that whole legacy conversation thing really means something, what they talk, you know, if you just watch interviews with these guys and you know, just hear them talk about basketball, we all know that if you win a championship for the New York Knicks, I mean, look at Eli Manning. Will Eli Manning be considered, well, he's got some good numbers, but my point is Eli Manning, you know, compared to some of the other top quarterbacks, it's not even close. But you know what the difference is with Eli Manning? He won 2 Super Bowls and Super Bowl MVPs in New York. You know, Derek Jeter's a great, great player. Clutch, one of the most clutch players of all time. Derek Jeter's regular season numbers are special, but Derek Jeter won in New York. He was special in New York, and he won in New York. So, you know, when the Rangers won, you know, you become a legend. It becomes all time when you won in New York. Look at Walt Clyde Frazier to this day. Like, kids still rock Walt Clyde. You be seeing kids in the garden with Walt Clyde. I know their parents bought them that jersey, but it's just the point that even Walt Clyde Frazier is still relevant in New York because he won here. So if that's true and these players really feel that way, you know, why not come and do it in New York? Let's see. They both have championships already. But you win a championship here, though, you get statues. That's a good point. I think KD would get a statue in Golden State in a heartbeat. You know, regardless of how KD feels about Golden State and regardless how any of us feel, the people in the front office in Golden State, they don't want KD to go anywhere. So they'll build him a statue in a heartbeat, too. Does Kyrie stunt? Jay says, does Kyrie stunt Dennis Smith Jr.'s growth? I was talking to somebody about this earlier at work, and I'll tell you what I told them. If the Knicks get Kyrie Irving, Dennis Smith Jr. will get flipped into another deal. That's why I like the Dennis Smith Jr. pick on 2 fronts, because the Knicks are going to unleash him and let him show everything he could do. He's going to have a chance to show it, and if he shows it, people will want him, or the Knicks will want him and just keep him. If he looks really special in this second half of the season, which, you know, I don't know how much you can write into that. And I'm not saying he's on a Kyrie level. I'm not being disrespectful to Kyrie Irving's talent. I'm just saying, if Dennis Smith gives you a reason to think about it, you know, maybe your 2 max free agents isn't Kyrie and KD. Maybe it's KD and somebody else. Maybe there's a 3-way trade and you end up getting Anthony Davis into New York because you have the money and you can send bodies other places. You know, remember, the Knicks still have all their young players in their draft pick, and they're going to get other draft picks. So I think if Kyrie Irving comes to New York, Dennis Smith is out of here for sure. But yes, Kyrie would stunt Dennis Smith Jr.'s growth because it'll be a Terry Rozier situation. You're playing Kyrie Irving, but I like Dennis Smith getting a shot at it, and I'm pulling for the young fella. No disrespect to Kyrie, but if the young fella could turn into a stud just because of the trade, and I want everybody to shut up about how bad this trade was for the Knicks, I would love to see Dennis Smith Jr. flourish for the Knicks. Kyrie has injury issues, buyer beware. Thank you, Johnny. Thank you. So one of the reasons that I wasn't enamored with Kyrie becoming a Knick this summer while KP was here is, and I've made this argument. I said, so our two best players are going to be injury prone because Kyrie is injury prone. He's great, but he's injury prone. KP's had his share of injuries and stamina issues, energy issues. So yeah, I was very much nervous about Kyrie Irving. I still am. Now, Kyrie with another guy who can kind of help carry the load in some of those games Kyrie will miss, because Kyrie's going to miss games. That's a great point. Kyrie's going to miss games. So yeah, buyer beware for sure. And that's why I say the two max free agents, it don't have to be Kyrie, with all due respect. Kyla says, if they can't get both or two of the top free agents, hold that bread. Yeah, I mean, we get back to that point. Absolutely. You don't spend the money. You do not spend the money if you can't get the top tier players. KD and Kawhi, I'd rather see be here. Woo-wee! Could you imagine? You kept Dennis Smith Jr. You got KD and Kawhi. You move Kevin Knox, Trier. All them dudes can stay on your bench. You ain't even got to flip them young boys. That's your bench right there. Let them young boys come off the bench. Or you flip them. Yeah, I hear you, Collis. We get to dream. We happy. It's a busy day. It's an exciting day. And we got a healthy body in Dennis Smith Jr. I want to see that. I want to see him play. I don't think we have enough that we'll win games. I don't think we'll mess up the tank, as everyone's calling it. But Kawhi and KD, could you imagine that? Oh man, that would be something else. So let's talk about the draft. So the Knicks get the number 1 pick in the draft and 2 max free agents. Forget the max free agents. The Knicks get the number 1 pick in the draft and draft Zion, and you got Dennis Smith Jr. and Zion. You instantly have two of the better athletes in the NBA starting on your team. Yeah, this is a fun part. Kyla said this is his favorite part of the NBA season when there's a lot of trades and possibilities. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. Absolutely. I do this because I enjoy it. Like, I have a lot of fun doing this. And you do it for so many years, and then you start to develop habits and things, and you get different pointers from different people, and next thing you know, you're sitting here in your own setup talking to people about the Knicks, but in sports in general. But I think just the fact that the trade is a win, just the fact that Knicks fans can, you can dream a little bit. You can go, man, we actually have the potential to get 2 of the top guys out there. In addition to drafting at worst, we get a top 5 pick. 4 or 5 would make me a little tight. I want at least top 3. But at worst, you have a top 5 pick in the draft. You got the potential to sign 2 max free agents. And you still got Dennis Smith Jr.'s potential. And not to mention, Trier, Mitchell Robinson. I think Dennis Smith Jr. is going to be a great help for Mitchell Robinson. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about how easy a guy like Dennis Smith Jr. can make it on the other players, because Fizdale's going to unleash him. And if he's as good as I hope he is, if he's as good as I think he is, because I wanted the Knicks to draft him when we had the opportunity to, if he's that player, he's going to command all the attention, and he's going to want that attention. Now Kevin Knox is open. Now Trier's getting more one-on-ones. They're not double teaming him, forcing the ball out of his hands. The alley-oops to Mitchell Robinson, just because Dennis Smith can break down the defense. I think Mitchell Robinson gets his ascension, his development speeds up with Dennis Smith Jr. I think he benefits the most, from Dennis Smith Jr. being on the Knicks. Jay says, can Knox play the 2 if we get Leonard and Durant? He better learn. Yo, Jay, I absolutely think Knox can play the 2. So, in some of the trade scenarios and draft scenarios that I've talked about with people with like RJ Barrett, if the Knicks were going to draft RJ Barrett and not play him at the point guard spot, that he's a small forward. You're playing him there. So what do you do with Knox? And I think Knox I think he absolutely can play the 2. His game is very much suited to do it because he can shoot. That's key. He's showing an ability to draw fouls. He's been better at it. Obviously, he has a long way to go. He's hit the rookie wall, yes, but he's shown some improvements. And if we can get better players so that we can take attention off of him, I absolutely think he can play the 2. You know, he has just enough handle. His shot is pure. He's not a chucker. I think his shot is pure. And he's going to develop. And he's super young, man. He's super young. Yeah, I think if you can get Kawhi and KD, you absolutely can play Kevin Knox at the 2. If not, just move him to the bench for a few years and see what happens. Collis says Knox going to shock a lot of people. He needs time, but he's going to be official. I agree. Kevin Knox is my next victim. Do you know what I mean by that? Kevin Knox is my next victim. Kevin Knox is the next guy that will get developed and be part of the future in the sense that he's going to be part of a trade that helps us land a bigger player to make us like threats, like real threats. Like seriously, like we'd be like, yo, the Knicks could, you know, be in the runnings this year. The Knicks could come out the East. Now, I think if Knox develops, we could keep him. This is the great thing about developing your young talent, a la Danny Ainge. Selecting quality talent and then developing that talent. This is why it's important, because you hold all the cards. If the guy ends up being really good and you want to keep him, great, he's good. Nobody's going to be mad at Boston if they keep Jason Tatum, if they keep Jaylen Brown. They find a way to keep Rozier. Nobody's going to be mad at them. But if you trade them, it's going to be because of how good they are, not because they're bums. They're going to have trade value. And Kevin Knox is that type of player. He's the next one to keep an eye on. But I'm talking more in like 2 years, though, not necessarily right now. Let's see. Johnny. The Knicks need to trade for Jaylen Brown. Now you got your young backcourt of the future. Man, listen. My camera it's frozen. I don't know what's wrong. I don't know what to do. This is not cool. Anyway, it's still recording. I'm going to let it record. Okay, so if the Knicks could trade for Jaylen Brown and Dennis Smith back, see, you playing. I'll if there was a way, because I'm a big fan of Jaylen Brown. I think Jaylen Brown is a very good young player, and I think he's another guy that in the right situation will get the opportunity to be unleashed. Like, see how that green light Tim Hardaway had in New York this season? I would love to see a guy like Jaylen Brown have that green light. I would love to see a guy like Dennis Smith Jr. have that type of that type of green light. Absolutely. Johnny, You already know. You got me ready to call you after this on that one. David Garcia. What's good, David? Thank you for coming through. He said, I would like to see Clay on the Knicks. You think he can help us? Absolutely. You know what? Thank you, David, for going outside the box a little bit there. I think a guy like Klay Thompson, with Dennis Smith Jr. or whoever else could absolutely help the Knicks. The Klay Thomas allows you to scheme your offense in very unique ways because he not only does he not hold the ball, as we all know, he's the no dribble assassin. Like, he don't got to put the ball on the floor to be effective. And I mean deadly, like all-star level effective. He don't dribble the ball. And when you got a guy like Dennis Smith Jr., breaking down a D, you can't leave that shooter open. And he's athletic enough to do other things. And he's a good elite defender. He's a two-way player, an elite two-way all-star. Yeah, no, that's a tremendous, I take him in a heartbeat. So we got 5 minutes, y'all. My camera is acting up. I'm hoping I didn't lose this video. We did a great show tonight. I did not record this on my recording software, so I won't be able to post it to YouTube if my camera is acting up. But right now it's just frozen on my for my podcast, so hopefully the sound is still there. But we got 5 more minutes. What y'all want to talk about? We got 5 more minutes. 5, not 5, 10, 15, just 5. Collis, I think Philly would be the perfect fit for Clay if they play inside out. Ooh. So let's talk about Philly for a second. I don't know if y'all heard. So I listen to every morning. I tell Alexa to turn on ESPN radio in addition to asking her the temperature and is she Skynet. Little nerd humor there. And so I listen to Mike and Trey or Mike and Wingo, whatever it's called, most mornings. Pretty entertaining. And they were talking basketball this morning, and apparently Philly is moving. I think we were talking about this yesterday too. Philly's moving Jimmy Butler to the point guard and Ben Simmons to the 4 spot. So with that said, if you sign Klay Thompson in the offseason and you got a backcourt of if Jimmy Butler can handle the point guard duties, and I believe Jimmy Butler can do anything he wants to do. So if Jimmy Butler can handle the point guard duties and you put Klay Thompson in the backcourt with Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons, oh man. And because Ben Simmons can't shoot, having that extra shooter out there to help open up the court for Ben Simmons and for Jimmy Butler, Klay Thompson is the perfect complement for a lot of people. Klay Thompson will make a lot of teams better because he's going to open up the floor for your guys that need to get to the basket. And you can't leave him open, and he can get his own shot off if he needs to. Kyla says, next time we got to talk about BK overachieving. I think the Knicks had the same dog in them earlier this season. A group of youngsters is going to kill. Yeah, big shout out to the Nets. No hate here. BK to the fullest. The Nets are absolutely balling out. To think that the kid, what's his name, Levert, to think that they have one of their best players injured for the season, not even playing. He's going to come back next season and probably be healthy. I like what they're doing. I think that's another team that their young players are playing so well, they might play themselves into a big trade or signing a major player. I think the Nets have some money too. So we may, we're seeing an interesting time. In regards to that dog, yeah, the Knicks definitely had that in them early in the season. The Knicks couldn't sustain it. And, the Nets, I'll say it, the Nets have some better young players. Their younger players are better than the Knicks, that's for sure. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. But, it's 9:58, y'all. We're going to get ready to sign off. Busy day. Yeah, word. That dude got injured, man. Yo, brother Oba, was good, brother. We about to sign off, but we were shout out. We were just talking about Philly. And we were saying, talking about potential free agents. Brother Oba is out in Philly. So we were talking about potential free agents. We were like, imagine if Clay was signed with Philly and if Jimmy Butler is running the point guard. I understand Philly has made that switch recently and moved Ben Simmons to the 3 or the 4. I think it's the 4. You know, I think that would be absolutely deadly. I think that would be absolutely deadly, deadly, deadly. Yo, Jay, peace out. Yo, brother Oba, you got any feelings on Jimmy Butler at the 1 or potential Jimmy Butler and Clay? Jimmy Butler and Clay in the backcourt? That's not right. You know how much defense that is? Nah, I don't even want to talk about that, man. That's scary good, man. That's scary good. But it's 9:59. Thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight. We went an hour strong. Talked about KP, Dennis Smith Jr., a little bit about the Mavericks. Shout out to my man Thorough, who predicted KP and his camp would be agitated and upset with, the Knicks dangling him around in trades. I think the Mavericks I think it's a deal that is great for both teams. This is my final word on that. I think the deal is great for both teams. I think Porzingis will play well out there with Doncic. I think if it's true that he didn't want to feel the pressure of being the number 1 guy, he's playing in a city where if they don't play well, he'll still be supported. It won't be some of the negative pressure that comes with New York, and it's not always what's up. I don't always appreciate it, and I'm just a fan that don't even know these dudes. But and Doncic is the guy out there. So, he's in a good situation, and Cuban will take care of him. So Porzingis, it was real. I'm happy with what we got back. Got a great haul. So brother Oba says he doesn't know if Jimmy could play the 1. And I was saying I'm not sure if he can play the 1, but I was definitely saying Jimmy Butler's one of those guys. You give him time at the 1, and then you give him Klay Thompson. I think he can do it. I think he can do it, but we shall see. We'll talk more about that next time, y'all. Hit me up on the Green of Thrones on Facebook. That's where my live stream is, the Green of Thrones. Y'all drop comments in there. Let me know what y'all want to talk about. Y'all want to come on and talk with me. I'm down. We can let you guys feature. I can ask you questions about your teams, any sport. But we've been focusing a lot on the Knicks lately. Obviously, I'm a big Giants fan, big Yankees fan, and a fan of sports in general. So, also, Go Gadget Green, the YouTube channel. Check me out. We do a lot of there. I got my sports shows. I got my Green, the Color of Love show. I've got my drone footage, my RC car footage, which we'll be doing a lot more. I still got a lot more to post there. So, mess with me. I'm your host, Go Green. Green of Thrones on Facebook. Go Gadget channel on YouTube. Your host, Go Green. Peace out, everybody, for checking me out. Thank you to all my subscribers. Please share these videos. Let people know it's a great place to come and talk sports. Peace out. Love y'all. Go Green. We out. Yo, Oba. We gonna see, brother. We gonna see. We gonna talk more about that next time. Peace.